Peace, y'all. Fernando Cardenas over here, creator and host of the Vital Hoops podcast. Just a quick message. First of all, I want to give thanks to all of you for supporting Vital Hoops. If you're watching this right now or listening to this podcast, you're supporting. So I appreciate you. If you've been rocking with this podcast for a little bit, we drop every other Thursday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And it has been this way consistently since episode one. So if you've been consistently watching or listening, you know that it's the first time in 94 episodes that we broke the consistency. And the reason for that is I lost a family member, someone I was extremely close to. And, obviously I wasn't focused on anything really. So, I was on track. Episode 95 was recorded before all this happened, but I wasn't able to release it. So here it is. Episode 95 is coming up right now. I do want to say, live your life, take care of your health, and make sure you reach out to your loved ones as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to lose your elders, but when it's the youth, it hits different. So, you know, be with your loved ones as much as possible, man. With that being said, like I said, I appreciate you all following the Vital Hoops podcast. On a lighter note, my comrades just held the Pan-African Universities here in Paris. Shout out to the Pan-African League Umoja, our organization. It was a great event, and be on the lookout for much more coming from us. Speaking about Pan-Africanism, here it is, episode 95 of the Vital Hoops podcast. Pan-Africanism or perish. Hope you enjoy. Peace, Jumbo. Welcome to the Vital Hoops podcast, right here on Black Power Media Reloaded. My name is Fernando Cardenas, aka International XB. I am your host, and this is episode number 95. Before I get started, check out what we got going on with Bese Saka Afro Vegan Fest. Make sure you follow us at Bese Saka Fest. That's BESESAKA Fest. Because we have some couple of announcements coming up. So make sure you stay tuned. All right, if you haven't yet, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and you like this video. That helps us a lot. If you can, leave a comment as well. It is much appreciated. Shout out to everybody putting in work at Black Power Media Reloaded. Shout out to all my comrades worldwide. Shout out to all of you checking this out right now. I appreciate you. So today, the focus is Pan-Africanism, indeed. All right. As you know, if you watch the Vital Hoops podcast on the regular, this show is about everything that is a part of my life, from basketball to hip hop, health and wellness, veganism, and of course, Pan-Africanism. With everything that's going on in the world today, us, people of African descent and African people, whether we are on the African continent or in the African diaspora, we have to understand the importance of being involved, the importance of being a Pan-Africanist, and the importance of struggling for liberation in one way or another. So I really want to just focus on that today, because I noticed that still to this day, not everyone understands what Pan-Africanism is and the importance of it. Now, obviously, like I said, this is what this show is about, and I've had a few episodes that have really focused in on Pan-Africanism with some amazing guests, which I recommend right away. So down in the description, I'm going to put 3 links from 3 of the most important episodes of the Vital Hoops podcast, which kind of really break down the importance of Pan-Africanism. And those are episode 22 with Amzat Boukari-Yabara, who is the president of our organization, the Pan-African League Umoja. Episodes 46 and 47, it's a 2-part little series with Diallo Kenyatta. And episode 66 with the brother C.L.R, which focuses on race first. So those 3 episodes are linked down in the description. Please check them out as well. Share them with your peoples. And yeah, that is appreciated as well. Okay, so Pan-Africanism, right? Me personally, I feel like I have always been a Pan-Africanist without knowing it, right? meaning that I didn't grow up in a Pan-Africanist household, you know. It's something that I got politicized a little later in life, right? But since I was a youth, I always felt connected to other people of African descent, to other black people. Whether it was people in the United States or on the continent or wherever they were, as an Afro-Cuban, when I saw black folk, I always felt like those were my brothers and sisters, you know. And that is the beginning to Pan-Africanism, really, because Pan-Africanism is about understanding who we are as African people and understanding our interconnectedness between the ones in the diaspora and the ones on the continent. Understanding that our enemy kidnapped our ancestors, right? And some of our ancestors were dropped all over the Caribbean in different places in what is today called the United States, in Cuba, in what is called, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, whatever, Jamaica, all of that. Okay, that's where our ancestors were dropped. But what does that make us, really? Understanding that we have to focus on where they picked us up and not where they dropped us off. That makes us all brothers and sisters. That makes us all Africans. So when we're talking about Pan-Africanism, in my opinion, identity is key, right? Understanding who we are before anything else, but that is my opinion. Now I want to give you like somewhat of a definition of Pan-Africanism that I have acquired over the years from a variety of people and texts, etc. So Pan-Africanism is a global movement of resistance. It is an ideology as well as an agenda. So when we speak of the ideology of Pan-Africanism, we're talking about, like I said, the interconnectedness of all African people and people of African descent all around the globe through our common history, right? With colonization and the transatlantic slave trade, but also the resistance of our ancestors to all of these atrocious things or events. And also a culture that has been able to help us sustain and advance as a people, not individually, but as a people. And then the agenda is about utilizing this unity as an organizational point to struggle for the liberation of Africa and for the well-being and dignity of African people worldwide. Now, we believe in doing that by acting, by constructing organizations, values, principles, and tactics for resolving conflicts of our people. So we're basically using this unity as a source of power for liberation. So as Pan-Africanists, we understand that we cannot be free. Doesn't matter where we at in the world, whether we are on the continent or in the diaspora, we as a people will not be free until the continent of Africa is free again. This is why we believe in liberating the continents from oppression and constructing the United States of Africa. So we understand that our enemy is a global system of oppression. It is global white hegemony, right? So we fight against capitalism, we fight against racism, we fight against colonialism, and we fight against neocolonialism. So like I said, it is a global system that is oppressing us. And we believe that we can only fight out of this oppression by uniting as African people. Also, the reason why we understand Pan-Africanism to be the only solution, really, is because we understand what's going on today on Earth. We see all the genocides, we see the destruction of the ecosystems, we see the brainwashing of our people, the propaganda that's been going on for years and years. And we see that our people are the most oppressed, no matter where you go around the world. No matter where you go, you can go to any country around the world, and if there's a community of black people, they're going to be at the bottom. They're going to be at the bottom, no matter where you go. This is just facts. And if somebody knows a place where it is not that way, please let me know in the comment. I would love to talk about this. I would love to. I had the opportunity to travel a little bit. I know a lot of people that have traveled a lot more, and that's what it is. No matter where you go around the world, our people at the bottom. So we understand the importance of putting race first. We understand the importance of struggling for our people first. And we understand that what we want is liberation for our people. And we understand that by liberating the African continent, ultimately, all people will be free. We believe in the liberation of all people, all living things, and we believe in the restoration of the ecosystems, the well-being of the planet, the respect of all living things, animals, plants, everything. So that's basically what Pan-Africanism is about. I want to mention a couple other key things that I have kind of mentioned, but I want to go over them again. Another important thing when we speak about Pan-Africanism and the unity of the continent is the economic system. We believe in an economic system that will redistribute the resources amongst all people for everybody to live a dignified life, right? So we can call that scientific socialism. We can call that African communalism. We can call that what we want, but we are anti-capitalist. Also, we understand the importance of culture because we've been colonized in every aspect, but mentally, first and foremost. So, us having a culture that is African centered, that promotes community, that promotes Ubuntu, I am because we are, that promotes health over wealth, that promotes people over profit, all of that is part of being liberated, and it is part of Pan-Africanism. So due to this system, this Eurocentric individualist system, we have learned over the years to define success by material things. And part of reclaiming our culture is destroying that false understanding and redefining a bunch of things, redefining success, redefining greatness, redefining everything, right? And putting the people first, putting the well-being of our communities and of our people first. So like I said, that's a quick overview of Pan-Africanism. The last thing I can say is that yes, I believe in race first, which means from the bottom up, which means the interests of the masses of African people first. And like I said, I believe in the restoration of the ecosystems and liberation for all people and all living things. But it has to start with us. So that's Pan-Africanism. That's my ideology. That's my fight, my struggle in this world. That's what I believe in. And like I said, I believe that is the only way to stop the oppression, this global oppression that is going on, all these genocides, all the destruction of the ecosystems. And I speak about that a lot because we have to understand that if we don't put ecology at the center of our struggle, by the time we win, whether it's soon or in a few generations or whenever it is, because we will win, but by the time we win, if we don't center ecology, we will inherit a planet that will not even give us food. As of now, we already know plastic is in every human being today, right? The water is polluted, the soil is polluted. We have less and less nutrients in our foods. So yes, this is part of our struggle as well as Pan-Africanists. So that's that. I know it's a short definition. I could get into a lot more things, but I would love to hear from you as well. I would love for you to drop a few comments and we can have a discussion. I can bring in another guest and get further into certain specific topics related to Pan-Africanism. But like I said, please make sure you check out these 3 episodes that I recommended that focus on Pan-Africanism as well, that are down in the description. And so, yeah, that's that, Pan-Africanism or perish. That's what it is. Okay, so my book recommendation for today, all right? I have two. I'm going to give you two. All right. The first one is this one that you see up here. If you're watching, Africa Unites, but it is not available in English, right? Africa Unite is by Amzat Boukari-Yabara, the president of the Pan-African League Umoja. Great book about the history of Pan-Africanism. And my second book recommendation is A History of Pan-African Revolt by C.L.R. James. This one is in French though. Histoire des révoltes pan-africaines. Great book as well when it comes to Pan-Africanism. A lot to learn, a lot to understand. So yeah, definitely recommend this one as well. Last thing that I want to mention about Pan-Africanism before I get into today's health tip is the importance of understanding. The reason we believe that Pan-Africanism is our only path to liberation is because, like I said, since the oppression is global, the fight against the oppression has to be global as well, right? We have to be able to work locally and then connect globally. But also, the reason why any of us, people of African descent, are still standing today is because of Pan-Africanism. So you can acknowledge it or not, but none of us would be here if it wasn't for Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism started as soon as they started kidnapping and colonizing our people in the motherland. The first resistance was Pan-Africanism. Since the beginning, the resistance of our ancestors on the boats, the revolts on the plantations, the maroon camps that were created, and then later on the organizations, etc., etc., etc. Of course, the Haitian Revolution is one of the main focal points of Pan-Africanism. Um, but yeah, it has always been about us, African people. It has never been about, you know, dividing each other. Oh, I'm from Jamaica, or I'm from Haiti. You know, this is what the enemy wants. Divide and conquer. That has always been the strategy. Anytime we just recognize ourselves as African people with our differences, right? We understand. Sheikh Anta Diop taught us that, yes, we have many differences because Africa is a huge continent. So obviously we have certain cultural differences, different languages. Some of us today have different religions. A lot of those religions are those of the oppressor, but that's another episode. But like I was saying, yes, we have differences in our culture, but we have a lot more similarities than differences as African people, even when you look at culture. Our culture are very similar. Like I mentioned earlier, it's about the collective, all right? So that's Pan-Africanism. So it's time for the health tip of the day. Y'all, please let me know if you're enjoying this little segment, the health tip segment. So yes, I have one for today. You know, as a health and wellness coach, all I deal with is holistic health, right? So I believe that when we're talking about health, it is about a variety of things. It's not about being perfect in one aspect. Like it's not about, for example, eating perfectly, eating clean all the time, and then doing everything else wrong. No, no, it's better to be consistent in a variety of aspects than to just be perfect in one thing and then, not worry about the rest because our health is holistic, right? So what I'm going to focus on has to do with health, and some people don't realize it, and it also has to do with Pan-Africanism and the importance of being a Pan-Africanist. One of the reasons why we don't have a lot of African people that are Pan-Africanists when you're looking at a global scale, right? There are Pan-Africanists all over the world in different countries and putting in work and all of that. But when you look at the masses of people of African descent, we're not a majority, right? Obviously. One of the reasons for that is that the masses of people have been depoliticized and there is an anti-intellectual aspect that has entered our subculture, right? And our people are not reading and we do not know or understand our radical history, right? So we just learn, most of the people, we just learn the history that we learn in school, which our schools are ran by our enemies, right? So we just learned the history that we learn in school. And then we really don't read much more than that throughout our lives. We're worried about making a living and. So yeah, so that's one of the reasons. So my health tip for today is read a book. Okay, and I'm gonna get into why this is a health tip, right? Like I said, today, so few of us are really, really reading books, right? And I say read a book, right? Because reading on your phone is not the same. Reading a book can develop your brain in a certain way that reading on your phone does not, right? Reading a book is good for a variety of things, right? It is good to prevent certain mental disease like Alzheimer's and things like that. It has been proven that reading can help your mind fight these types of diseases. Um, it's also good for cognitive in general, you know what I'm saying? Remembering things, etc. It's also good for you because reading works your imagination, right? Today we look at images a lot and it gives us everything right away, but by reading you have to picture things yourself. And so that works with your brain, it works with your imagination, and it's a very positive outcome. Reading is also good because it can take you away from doing other negative things. We all do negative things. We all have like small vices or things that we shouldn't be doing, right? And if sometimes we can just pick up a book and read instead of doing those things, well, that's another positive. It's going to help us do better, feel better, right? And reading is never a negative thing. It's never a negative thing. We're always learning something, developing our brain, developing new ideas, etc. So it's gonna be a positive for our mental health. It can help us understand many things. It can help with our imagination, and it can just help us feel better. It can help us sleep better as well, because a lot of times reading before you go to bed helps you fall asleep. It helps you relax your brain and sleep better, right? And sleep, as we know, sleep is definitely a pillar to wellness, right? Our sleep, a lot of us are lacking good sleep, unfortunately, or sleep, period. So yes, reading a book is very helpful when it comes to health and wellness. So I recommend that. Read a book. And if you already are, read a book more often. All right, so this is it, episode 95 in the books. We appreciate you. Like I said, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Go to blackpowermedia.org and sign up. Follow us on Instagram at Vital Hoops Podcast, and also follow LPU France and BCSACA Fest. Everything is down in the description. So yes, pick up a book, join a revolutionary Pan-Africanist organization, love yourself, love your people. Pan-Africanism will perish. Vital Hoops, for the people, by the people, for the culture. Uhuru.